I'm here socially distant in West Philadelphia with my friend, the poet Ahmad Almallah, and he has written a poem this very day, I think, called The Disappearance of Chairs. So he's going to read it, and we're going to talk about it for 5 minutes.
Right. This is The Disappearance of Chairs. Chalky steps, chair hugging chair. Not long ago, all was well, and then, one on top of the other, they've been stacked. Tables all smothered by stiff legs and some hard flat bellies, and not much more happened after that. Everyone remained where they've been placed. A strange arrangement has just taken place. Without the sitters, they felt themselves kings for once, on top of the world, so to speak. And that was that for some time, till they began feeling an itch for what used to be, for old times, when they were murdered every day and people sat there to witness.
This is a poem about chairs without people.
Pretty much.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So well, how do the chairs change? I mean, I guess chairs, there's a default assumption is that chairs are there for us to sit in, but now they seem to be there to just be chairs.
Yeah, and that kind of changes the nature of the chair. I guess I've been writing these poems about tables and chairs and like the relationship between the table and the chair. And my regular routine is actually to go to the coffee shop every morning.
Right, I know that.
To try to scribble something. But with whatever is happening around us.
Oh, so this could be the space you're imagining where you usually write.
Something like that.
That has no...
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me think... Oh, I always think your poems are meta-poems. So that makes me think, because this is a sonnet, it's a sonnet with one exception.
With kind of the break of the sonnet at the very end.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have two words, to witness, that stick out and break the sonnet, which is perfect. But before we get to that, it's a sonnet, and sonnets are structures. Chairs are structures.
Yeah.
And here it is, a time when chairs can't even be chairs, the way we think of them. This moment of emptiness, this moment of no coffee shop. And you, not really a sonneteer, if I may say.
No, not really.
So you take a sonnet. Are you longing for a structure at a time when everything is all helter-skelter?
I think it's also probably it has to do with the fact that I assigned my students to write a sonnet, and I've been probably thinking about things in terms of 14 lines.
Yeah.
And this morning I didn't even notice that I wrote 14 lines, and I broke it.
Oh, really?
I didn't. Yeah.
Because it's an octet and a sestet. It's 8 and 6.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the little widow at the end. You've finished your sonnet, and the last line is murdered every day, and people sat there. And sitting out there as a widow is to witness. So you meant something pretty serious about that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I always thought of chairs as these victims. And they are going through this daily abuse. And
we're sitting in them.
And we're sitting.
They're sort of servants.
In a way, they are our servants. They await for us to kind of abuse them every day.
Which is their definition, because we make them.
Yeah, and then just the fact that we stopped doing that made them long for the abuse again. Which is, it's kind of a strange...
It's creepy when you think about it that way. This morning, when you shared this poem by text...
Yeah, I did.
It's a strange way to share a sonnet. An image of the typewritten. You have an old typewriter. I wrote, and I'll read what I wrote, and then I would love for you to respond. I wrote, a sonnet is itself a thing of arrangement. Because you had talked about the arrangement of the chairs.
That's true.
The poem is called The Disappearance of Chairs, but it's really a strange arrangement has taken place. And I wrote, a sonnet is itself a thing of arrangement, and we return to sonnets because it's all supposed to be where it's been placed. I'm not even sure anymore what I meant by that, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the chair as a possibility
Yes.
is very similar to the sonnet as a possibility.
Yes. That's right.
And I think that's what you meant by that.
Yes.
And I think that's what really attracts us to certain poetic structures.
Yeah.
Just as I am attracted to
Yeah.
chairs.
May I ask you
I'm
one
just
more,
sitting.
one more question?
Yes.
Because we're running out of time, but, well, so you haven't been writing, even though this is a time when a lot of people are getting a lot of work done. Now that people with small children are not getting as much work done, but people who are relieved in a funny way of not having to go to an office to be interrupted, they're in their offices, they're in their, people who write are getting writing done. You haven't been, and then you wrote this. Can you tell us a little bit about the pandemic and the poet in your case?
I don't know. I felt like the world is offering me this big pause. And I felt like I needed to break my old pattern. And I wanted to kind of sit on my thoughts for a while until something kind of moves in my head and something kind of let go. And I don't know. It felt like today I've been passing by the coffee shop and seeing these chairs for some time.
They're still there, aren't they?
Yeah. And I've been kind of just trying to write this poem for a long time in my head.
Yeah.
And today it kind of came all together. I actually wrote the parts of the first stanza a couple of days ago. And then I put it all together today. And
Can I speculate, as I like to do with your poetry, speculate a little wildly? So there's the making. Poetry is making, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, poetry is making. They're the chairs that are made, but we tend to forget because we think since we make them, they are ours. But they have been made, and they can have an independent life. And the third making is the poet with an old-fashioned typewriter making a poem. There's a lot of making going on, yeah?
There is, and this typewriter has been there in our basement / our laundry room for a while, and I haven't been using it at all. And I felt like this was really kind of the time to kind of go back to something even more archaic or more ancient than the usual phone or the computer.
Not to overread, is a royal?
It's not a royal,
What is
it's
it
an
called?
underwood.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
An underwood, I mean, not to overread what happened to this underwood, but the O, which is a very often used letter, and of course in this poem, it's the most oft-used letter, it seems.
Pretty much.
There's a lot of messed up O's here. There's something very frail about this sonnet, even though sonnets are supposed to be solid and predictable and stable. And
Yeah, well,
you're a poet of O, I think.
I don't know, but that messed up kind of, I don't know, even Huda commented on it. There was this kind of fragile element to the entire structure.
Yeah.
Like it's almost kind of falling apart. But that's something that I like also to play with, to kind of take the poem to the very edge of its collapse.
Well, and your recent book, Bitter English,
Yeah.
though there's no O in the title, it's really about broken letters, broken words.
So I'm bringing back the O into my poetry.
Ahmad Almallah, thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Right, thank you, Al. Thank you. Thank you for bringing me out.
Outside into the blue sky of
Yeah.
West Philadelphia.
If you liked this episode, watch another and subscribe.
And join us for ModPo, a free and open course at modpo.org.